Yeah. Got it. Oh, you're right. Who is the Mustafa Ahmed? Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now go ahead. No, go ahead, Ahmed.
Okay. Share screen, share.
Who is the Mustafa Ahmed?
Okay.
Looks like. Yeah. Now go ahead. No, go ahead, Ahmed.
Okay. Present. Okay. Let's go back. So back at what we were talking about, why is the IELTS exam important? There are multiple reasons, as I said, and the most common reason is because most universities, or not even most, maybe all universities in the US, in the UK, or any other English-speaking country require international students, international college applicants to submit an English language proficiency test, like the IELTS or the TOEFL. Um, and the second reason is for people who are a little bit younger. If you're in أول ثانوي or even ثاني ثانوي, and you think of joining exceptional educational programs that are provided by موهبة or even KAUST, a lot of these programs require you to submit an English language score. So a really good start to actually participate in these programs, to participate in these programs is to take the IELTS exam. Also, if you plan to live abroad, if you plan to live in the US or in the UK, you have to, when you apply for the visa, for the immigration visa, you have to have an English language score. And also, if you finish university or if you're applying for a job, either here locally in Saudi or even outside, or even outside in the US or in the UK, you probably need an English language proficiency test score to prove that you're actually capable of speaking English and using
ولا ما
English.
يطلع الصوت من التلفزيون.
Who is
Okay.
this?
If someone's mic.
Can you mute all? Mute all.
Oh, can I do that? Oh yeah, I can. Okay, sorry. Anyways, so yeah, most employers in Saudi and outside of Saudi require applicants to submit an English language proficiency score. So for most jobs, at least, not all jobs, but for most jobs, and I think it's going to be all jobs in the future. So I will talk about each section separately. Just a brief description of each section, and then some strategies and tips that you guys can use when you're taking the test and when you're preparing for the test. So the first section that you're gonna take is the listening test. And if you're taking the computer-based version of the tests at the computer, that it's 30-minute long. But if you're taking it on paper, it's going to be 40 minutes, and that's because they're going to give you 10 minutes at the end to transfer your answers to the answers sheet. But for most of you guys, I think most of you, if you want to take the IELTS exam, you'll probably take the computer-based. So it's going to be just 30 minutes, and it is 40 questions, and it consists of 4 parts. Each part is a conversation or a speech. You're going to hear the conversation, and then you're going to answer about 10 questions, and then you're going to hear the other conversation and you're going to answer 10 questions, and so on until the last part. So the difficulty of the parts graduate as you go. So the first part is actually the easiest part. It's usually just a conversation between two people in a social context, and that means it's not very difficult. The vocabulary used in the conversation is not complex. So it's just a casual conversation between two people. And then after hearing the conversation, you're going to ask the questions related to the conversation. For part 2 and 3, it's going to be a little bit similar, but it is going to be harder. So they're gonna give you more more complex words and more complex conversations, and even the questions in these parts will be harder. And the final part is a conversation between up to 4 people in an educational or training context. And that means it can be like a small lecture. So I remember in the last IELTS test that I took, it was a speech by a professor, and I believe they were talking about space. Um, they were talking about stars or something. So of course, it's going to be harder because they're going to use more scientific vocabulary and terms, and the questions are a little bit harder than the previous sections. Some listening strategies and tips. During your studying and your preparation for the test, try to practice listening a lot. And that can be listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, watching English TV shows and movies. I'm sure a lot of you guys like watching movies, also playing video games. All of these things actually help you a lot to gain more words, to gain more vocabulary, and to expand your English knowledge. Also, the second most important strategy for you guys is to take a lot of practice tests. Practice tests are really similar to تجميعات. If you guys know القدرات or التحصيلي, there are تجميعات, and they're basically questions from previous tests. الاختبارات التجريبية or practice tests is what actually helped me get 7 on the IELTS, because you're gonna get used to how the more practice tests you take. During the test, you have to use your time wisely. When you take the test, you're gonna be nervous, you're gonna be anxious, and you're gonna think that you may mess up or you may miss out something, and you may misheard something. But you have to focus. You have to utilize your time. Oh, it says your internet connection is unstable. So is my voice clear? Okay, I think they'll take that as a yes. Anyway, sorry about that. During the test, you're going to be given times, especially at the start of the listening test, where the conversation is still not starting. So at that point, try to read all the questions. Try to take some notes on the side, especially for the fill-in blanket questions. Put a star on it just to that you listen to the words, because spelling also matters on the listening test, because if you got the spelling wrong, they're actually going to reduce your score. So the fourth one, the last step, is the most important in my opinion. Don't think about the parts that you missed, because they're not going to, first of all, and you're just going to be distracting about the part that you missed, and you're going to miss other question, and that really gonna
مين اللي يقدر يشرح ايش يعني so far or summarize what احمد mentioned? Yes. he got disconnected. الحين بيرجع. هو كان summarize. Yes, go فاضل. بالعربي انجليزي.
هو قال ان لازم عشان نتدرب على هذا نسمع انجليزي، حياتنا اليومية نسمع انجليزي عشان نطور من انجليزيتنا ونختبر اختبارات الجزئية.
حلو. كم قسم الآيلتس؟
4.
حلو. مين اللي قال 4؟ ايش هي؟
The reading, listening,
writing,
listening والspeaking. speaking موجود في الآيلتس؟
اي موجود.
حلو. أجل 4. وش الفرق؟
واحد قال 5 بس مرة.
اوكي. السكورز ها 1 ل 9 صح. كيف مقسمين؟ يعني زي نفس المعهد A1 B2 C1 C2. عادة الجامعات كم تقبل؟
من 6 ونص من 6 ونص إلى لا كل قايل
خلينا نشوف Ahmed, you're back.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened to the internet connection.
Yeah, you get disconnected. Can we now I took the advantage of being disconnected and I review what you said with the students. Can you wrap up the rest within 10 minutes?
Oh, the rest of the presentation?
Yeah, the rest of the presentation. Just that because we have another speech later on. So,
Okay.
I'll make
can you allow me to?
Yes, sure. You're the host now.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's go back to the screen, share. Okay. Here, and then. Whoop.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let's get back. So we were just talking about the listening section, and now we'll move on to the reading section. Here. The reading section is a 60-minute long portion of the test, and it has 40 questions, and you're going to read 3 articles. After each article, you're going to answer about 12 to 13 questions. And same as the listening section, the articles get harder as you move on. The third article is harder than the second, and the second is harder than the first. Some tips when you are preparing for the IELTS exam for the reading section is to also read daily. And one great advice that I can give you guys, or one great source that I also used is, let me go here, is reading books. And it doesn't need to be complex words, because most of novels right now, most of the classics at least, have a lot of complex language. So if you search for any novel that you like or any book that you like and then write illustrated after it, it's going to come with a simpler language that you can use to read daily and actually understand what the book is talking about. Let me go back. Present. You guys also can find these books online for free, and that's actually what I did. It's not legal. You may get in trouble for it, but these books are really expensive, especially the ones in Jarir. But yeah. Also, you have to practice how to understand and how to find out what is the meaning of certain words just out of the context. Because in the reading sections, and a lot of the articles are really hard, and you may face about 15 to 20, even 25 words that you cannot understand. So we have to train the skill of just understanding what the paragraph is talking about without understanding, without knowing the meaning of all the vocabulary and all the words in that paragraph. The third section is just is the writing section, and in my opinion, it is the hardest one, just because we Saudis are not really used to writing. We didn't write in English a lot in high school, especially if you're taking the Muqarrarat curriculum. They're gonna ask you for 2 things, task 1 and task 2. Task 1, you're gonna be provided a statistical demonstration or graphs like these, and they're gonna ask you to analyze the graph and talk about it briefly in 150 words or less. This section usually takes only 20 minutes. And I believe it is harder. It is harder than the second task, even though the task requires you to write up to 250 words. So it's basically more stuff to write. But for task 2, it is going to give you a statement like this, and then they're going to ask you to write about it from your knowledge and from your experience and from your personal life. And sometimes they're going to even ask you for your opinion. I believe this is probably easier than this. This is just you're writing a report, and it's a little bit harder because you're writing objectively. That means you're not providing your opinion. So for example, here it says, if I can move this a little bit, film screened in the UK and Australia in 2001. So it's basically just a statistical graph, رسم إحصائي, and they're just gonna ask you to write the significant details about it. So for example, US films apparently are the most sellers in this case, and then UK films come after it. So stuff like that, just few details, not all of them, because they don't give you a lot of time to write about all the details. Same strategies as the other sections. You have to practice writing a lot before taking the actual test. Take a lot of practice tests before taking the exam. And also, this is an important tip, is to focus on punctuation. So like the comma, the dot, the full stop dot, علامات الترقيم باختصار. They're going to deduce grades if you don't use them accurately. And you also have to practice al-hija, or spelling of the words, because they're going to deduce scores, your score, if the spelling of any word is incorrect. During the test, my biggest advice is to, before you start writing, try to take about 3 to 4 minutes to just think about what you're going to write and organize your thoughts and the layout of the essay that you're going to write. The last section of the exam is the speaking section, and it's the easiest in my opinion because it's the shortest, and it is 11 to 14 minutes, and it consists of 3 parts. The first part, the same as the other sections, is the easiest one. It is going to be a conversation between you and the examiner, and it's going to be about personal stuff, personal and just simple stuff, like where are you from, what is it like to live with your parents, or what is it like to live in Qatif, how's the weather in Qatif, and things like that. So it's not really hard. The vocabulary that you're going to use don't need to be complex. For part 2, it is going to be a little bit more difficult because what they're going to do is they're going to give you a card like this. Let me go here. They're going to give you a card like this, and it has a question, and they're going to give you about 1 minute to prepare, and then 2 minutes to speak about the questions. For example, here, describe an occasion when you lost something. You should say what the occasion was and what you lost, how you lost it, how you found it, and say how you felt when you got it back. So you're going to take notes on the side to prepare for what you're going to talk about for about 2 minutes. Let's go back. And the third part is going to be the hardest one because you are going to engage in a deeper conversation with the examiner. For example, a question that they might ask is, what are some dangers associated with using the internet? So you're not going to talk about personal stuff anymore, simpler stuff. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. And you should, at this point, you should use more complex vocabularies and terms. But it's still the easiest section of the test. Even the third part is not that hard because it's basically just a conversation between you and the examiner. Strategies, same as the other sections of the test. You have to practice speaking before you take the actual exam. Try to speak with your family or with your friends in English. If you think it's weird and you're embarrassed to speak with them, you can speak with yourself. You can just record yourself in your room alone, and you can just speak, and then watch the recording again and watch for any mistakes in your pronunciation, in your grammar and stuff like that. During the test, you should be calm because at the end of the day, it's just a conversation between you and the examiner, so it's not a big deal. If you made a mistake, it's okay. Even native speakers make mistakes when they speak, so it's really normal. And also, don't really focus a lot on your accent because they don't grade based on your accent. They grade based on your grammar, your usage of phrases and vocabulary, and your pronunciation. So as long as your pronunciation is correct, accent doesn't really matter. Some final thoughts before I end the presentation. Focus a lot on practice tests or الاختبارات التجريبية. Give yourself enough time before you actually take the test. I know a lot of people that they give themselves 1 week or 2 weeks to study, and I think that's not enough. You should give yourself at least 1 month to prepare for the test. And just like any other test, you have to take enough rest before the test. And one of the most important pieces of advice that I should give you guys is that the IELTS is not the only English language proficiency test out there. There's also the TOEFL. So if you think the IELTS is not for you, if you tried a lot and it didn't work for you, you can try the TOEFL. You can also try the Duolingo test, which is easier and it's approved by a lot of US universities. And if you guys want to study in the UK, you don't want to take the regular IELTS academic exam, you should take the IELTS UKVI exam. It's basically the same test with the same level of difficulty. It's just the UKVI is the version that is approved by the UK government if you're applying for a study visa. Here are the most important resources that I used when I studied for the IELTS exam. If you guys, you can feel free to take a picture of this slide because I think it's the most important one. You have IELTS online tests. It's a website. Any resource here that UT comes after it is basically a YouTube channel. So you have IELTS Les. This is one of the most useful websites that I used. IELTS Advantage is also a great channel on YouTube. You also can use podcasts and illustrated novels, as I said before. And also, number 8 is Dalilik Lil IELTS. It's the only Arabic YouTube channel here. It's really useful. The person behind this channel gives a lot of great tips and strategies for the test. As you can see here, this is English with Liz, or IELTS with Liz. This is the website. And this is the IELTS online. As you can see, you can just go and click on here, for example, a reading practice test. And then you can start the reading test. Here is the article, and here are the questions. So as I said before, practice tests are the key for getting a high score on the IELTS. And I think that's about it. So here, present.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. I have a couple of questions before I turn to the chance to the students. The first question, the practice test in the writing section, who's going to score the writing for you?
Sorry, what was that?
Who's going
who
to
scores
going to score the reading section? Oh, the reading or writing is? No, or
okay,
reading,
so
it could be systematic, but the writing.
Yeah, the reading and the listening sections are all automatic, so it's you're gonna get accurate questions if your answers are correct. But for the writing and the speaking, you actually have to either pay someone to grade your score or grade your writing or speaking, or you can just do it by yourself and try to write and then read more samples of that writing. For example, let me show you. Here is on IELTS Les. This is task 1. As you can see here, صورة إحصائية for comparison of energy production in France. As you can see here, the pie charts below shows the comparison of different kinds of energy production of France in 2 years. You can see it and then start writing, and then after you can read the sample answer. This is a sample answer written by the teacher itself, by Mrs. Liz. And you can compare your writing to hers, and then you can read some tips and strategies about this specific question. This is how I practice writing, because you don't want to pay people to grade your score, because it's usually a lot of money, and they're not certified IELTS examiners, so it's not really accurate. So this is my advice for you guys, is just to see the question and then write your essay, and then read the sample answer to see if to look out for any mistakes that you made.
Is there a website or a hub that gather all these professions that score the reading, the writing section? Is there like a website that people they register themselves over there?
I think here on the IELTS, what is this again? The IELTS online tests, there are actually people that can grade your score if you pay for them. I think it's about $10. But as I said before, they're not certified examiners, so I don't really recommend that. If you have a friend that is more proficient in English, or your English teacher, or
Yeah, they can come to me. They can come to me. It's just 100, and I can.
You're not a certified teacher, so I don't recommend that either.
No. The first three I'll make it for free. The second question, Ahmed.
Yes.
In the writing, you told give yourself 2 or 3 minutes just to think. Yeah, I think this is very important, especially to write any article. You need to put the outlines. Is there like any scratch or
Yes.
So people
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Yes, that's for the paper-based exam. You can just write on the side, and they're not gonna. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I think you can. I think they're gonna give you a piece of paper or something, but I don't remember. You can highlight. You can write notes, I think, on the reading section. But for the writing section, for the computer-based, I don't remember.
What about the speaking, Ahmed? Speaking, people they next to you, they will also speak out, and it would be the room would be very noisy, right? In the speaking.
No. So when you register for the exam, you're gonna take the listening, reading, and writing alone, and you're gonna schedule your speaking test either at the same time, or even you can take it on another day, and you're not gonna have anybody next to you that is speaking. It's not gonna be noisy. It's just going to be in a private, quiet room, just you and the examiner. So it's not gonna be distracting. The environment is really quiet, and yeah.
Very good. Any question, guys, from yourself? Yeah, Fatima has a question. Go ahead.
Wait,
Yeah, sure.
هل في صلاحية نتيجة الدرجة حق الاختبار؟
Is there a expiration date or like?
So your test score is valid for 2 years. So after 2 years, you cannot use your test score again. You have to take the test again. This is one of the most annoying thing about the IELTS exam and also the TOEFL.
Yeah. So that means the best time to do it is after ثاني ثانوي, right, Ahmed?
Yeah. So the
practice the whole ثاني ثانوي or أول ثانوي, ثاني ثانوي, and you do it. If you do it in ثاني ثانوي, then ثاني ثانوي.
Yes, and then you can use it to apply for universities and stuff.
Yeah, after ثالث ثانوي you can apply for it. But if you do it مرة very early, after ثالث متوسط أو حتى أول ثانوي, it will get expired. You will do it again.
Yes, and it's really expensive, so I don't think anybody want to take it twice.
But yeah, but people they can practice, صح؟
Yes. Yes.
امتحانات هذه
There is test and it's formal, but it's more harder.
Is there any Cambridge test? Is it IELTS or something else?
So the IELTS exam is provided or it's administrated by 3 entities. I think it's Cambridge, IDP, and I forgot what's the other one. Yes, it is. يعني في أشخاص من كامبريدج هم اللي يعني يشتغلوا على الأسئلة حقت الاختبار، بس الظاهر حتى جامعة كامبريدج نفسها عندهم اختبار ثاني غير عن الايلتس.
Yeah,
بس ايه هو مكتوب من اختبار الايلتس سنويا، مكتوب من البريتش كونسل، IDP وكامبريدج يونيفرسيتي.
Oh. Ahmed, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Great presentation.
Thank
Anyone?
you so much.
Yeah, we still have questions. Ahmed, Hadi.
It's unlimited as long as you pay. As long as you pay, it's unlimited.
Yeah,
you can take
okay.
Actually, wait. Let me make sure because what was your question again? عدد المحاولات.
Yeah, now stop sharing. We want to see your face. Oh, you want to show something? Okay.
Yes, can you take the IELTS tests multiple times? Yes, so here, this is from BritishCouncil.org, so it's official. You may take the IELTS test as many times as you like. So as long as you are paying for the test, you can take it. It's not like Qudurat, we're only limited with 4 or 5 times. Does that answer the question?
Guys, anyone want to question? Oh, that's fine. No question. No more questions. Okay, great, Ahmed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, efforts. I would be happy to see your slides so I can share it to everyone.
Okay, I will send the slide on PDF format for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, Ahmed.
Thank you so much. مع السلامة.
Let me share the start video here so you can see your audience. And, this is your audience. You see them, right?
ما شاء الله مجهزين للقراية.
مجهزين للقراية. انت ما قبل القراية.
ها؟
انت اللي
انت حجزت الغرفة يعني من السكن نفسه؟
والله حجزناها من دون حجز.
بدون حجز رايحين. طيب حطيت ديكوريشنز واشياء دقيقة.
يا حطينا مأتم صالحة وكذا.
حركات والله ممتاز. تنشر اسمها في كل مكان عجب.
يلا ان شاء الله السنة الجاية نجيب سواد. يلا thank you so much أحمد. مع السلامة.
Thank you so much.